This video is going to cover absolutely everything you need to know in order to get the absolute most out of your mental performance. Now, there are a variety of other things that I'm not going to cover, but these are the main things that we can control in order to improve our mental clarity and our razor sharp focus. So there's going to be a couple of topics that I'm going to cover, and then there's an example of a potential meal plan that you could follow in order to help improve the way that you think. So firstly, fats. Now, fats we know are really important for our cognitive function, and it's actually shown that we can remove carbs completely and we can still function perfectly fine. We can remove protein and we can still function perfectly fine. However, fats are something that our body cannot live without. It is essential for brain health, eye health, cell membrane function, and so many more different things. So it is really important that if you're looking at reducing your calories, you never reduce the amount of fat that you're having below a certain number. Now, protein should always be kept high, but your carbs can go as low as they need. Secondly, carbohydrates. Now, everyone thinks that carbohydrates are bad for you. They certainly are not. However, if we're wanting to improve our mental clarity, sometimes carbohydrates can actually affect this because it can make you feel sluggish. It requires a little bit of energy to break down, and it can really make you feel a little bit more tired, which is the opposite to what we want. Now, if we're having to do a lot of work, let's just say on a morning, it might not be wise having a big bowl of cereal early on the morning, because after we have that bowl of cereal, we're going to have an increase in insulin, an uptake in carbs, uptake in glucose, which will then make us feel a little bit more sluggish. And actually, it's great for giving us physical performance, but when it comes to mental performance, it might not be the best thing. Now, it can give us brain fog. However, everyone is different. So play around, see how many carbs you can have until you start to feel sluggish. For me, if I really want to improve the way that I can think throughout the day, I just keep my carbs to a minimum. Now, I'm going to cover this later on, so keep tuned for that. But have a little play around. Everybody is different. Caffeine. Now, caffeine is a great little tool that we can use in order to boost our energy and boost our focus. What I'd recommend is not having caffeine until about 90 to 120 minutes after you wake. This allows the adenosine to clear out of the system, and therefore when we have the caffeine, it then blocks these receptors, stopping the adenosine from binding, and therefore allowing the caffeine to have the full effects and give us tons and tons of energy and stop that adenosine from binding and making us feel tired. Fourth, we can actually implement a little fast. Now, fasting isn't essential. I do like to have a little fast on a morning. Firstly, it's good for regulating blood sugars, but secondly, it allows me to not focus on food. Now, as soon as I have my first meal, I then start to get hungry. So my food focus increases after that first meal. So what I do, I push that first meal back to actually midday. So I have my first meal at 12 o'clock. Now, when food is really high and you're having to eat a lot, maybe this isn't possible. However, if you're consuming a manageable amount of food, you might choose to just push that first meal back, which will allow you to be razor focused, have really good mental clarity, and not experience any kind of food focus or brain fog as the morning progresses. Now, you can do this till midday, you can do this to mid-morning, or you can just not do it whatsoever. Just have a little try. You know, there's no harm in trying something. Now, if it doesn't work for you, that's fair enough. It works for me, but would I recommend it? Who knows, yeah? So, no, I'll take that back. I do recommend it, but only if it works for you. Now, number 5 is hydration. Hydration is really important. I bang on about it all the time. So, we need to be making sure that we're having roughly 4 or 5 litres every single day. Now, this can vary person to person. However, 4 or 5 litres is roughly a good little number to aim for. And 500 ml of those are coming in straight away as soon as we wake up. This is going to make sure that we're properly hydrated, and if we're dehydrated, this can actually affect our brain function and make us feel really, really sluggish. So hydration is really, really important upon wake. Supplements. Now, I get a lot of questions about supplements, and that's perfectly fine. You can hopefully see it there. I have listed 2 different supplements. So, L-tyrosine. L-tyrosine is a really, really good supplement for those of you that have had little sleep and are sleep deprived. This allows us to kind of improve our cognitive function when we're really tired, yeah? Whereas alpha GPC is a really, really good nootropic supplement which just allows us to have really good focus, reduces our kind of energy, like our physical energy, and increases our sort of mental energy. So do a little bit more research on those 2 supplements. If you think that you may need them, drop me a message. I can by all means point you in the right direction, or point you over to some research to really see if you do need them and see if you benefit them. Because remember, it's alright taking supplements, but if they aren't going to serve any purpose, you're just wasting your money. Yeah? So I'm going to cover a little example meal plan. And this is something that I've followed in the past. It's something that I don't follow at the minute, but it's something that I know has worked for me. So my first meal, as I say, I'd fast until a little bit later. So I'd probably eat this about 11 or 10 o'clock. I'd have 3 egg whites and 2 whole eggs with some spinach. This is keeping the carbs low and getting some good quality fats in from the egg yolk. Then my second meal would be a chicken salad with some dark chocolate. Now we know dark chocolate is a really, really, really good healthy fat that is great for our brain, and it increases our blood flow as well. So it increases blood flow to the muscles, but also increases blood flow to our brain as well. Then my third meal, which would be my pre-workout meal, this might come in at about 3 o'clock. Yeah, so I'm eating this one at, let's say, 11. I'm eating this one at 1 and this one at 3. I'm having a scoop away in 2 pieces of fruit. This is just fast acting. You know, I can leave this till quite soon before my workout. So maybe like half an hour. So it will then be ready for me to utilise during my session. If I have a bigger pre-workout meal, I might need to leave it maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours before that session. And therefore that could then take away from the amount that I can actually work on my laptop, for example. Then after I finish training, I'd have a scoop away and some cereal. I tend to not have as much work after I train. All of the work that I do have to do requires a little bit less brain power. So I definitely recommend kind of like making sure that you get everything done. And then after you start having your carbs, make sure that those kind of tasks that you need to do are less kind of strenuous as such. Then my 5th meal would be kind of any meal. So if you look here, I'm not actually having that many calories from the meal 1 to 3. The meal 4 might be close to 800, and then it gives me quite a big bulk of calories to be eating on that final meal. So what this allows me to then do is A, have some flexibility, but B, it then allows me to not be stressed out because all of these are set in stone, and then it's only this one that I actually have to think about. Yeah, so these I can just be like on autopilot as such, just eating them. Not having to think, oh, what am I going to be having for my first meal? Because they were set in stone. Whereas when all my work's done, when everything's done, then I can be like, right, I've got a little bit more time now to be making that final meal. Now, for coffee, what I would do is I'd have one at 8 AM, one at 11, and one at 2. I'd always have my last coffee at 2 o'clock because sleep is really important, and not only for our recovery, but also if we want to be feeling fresh the next day, we want to be making sure that we're nailing our sleep, and we know that caffeine too close to our training, too close to our sleep, can actually affect the amount of deep sleep and the amount of REM sleep that we actually get. Water, I mentioned this before, 4 or 5 litres, making sure that I'm getting in a pint as soon as I wake up with a little bit of salt. Sleep, 7 or 8 hours, again, really, really important. And a couple of little extras, I'd always have a cold shower on the morning, just get me ready, you know, get that kind of nervous system firing. And I'd maybe incorporate some nootropics like L-tyrosine or alpha GPC if they are needed. However, with all of this, like apart from the nootropics, I'd be pretty much ready and raring to go. Now, you can choose to try this out. It might not work for you, it might work for you. But if you want something a lot more tailored, literally just drop me a message and I'll be more than happy to help you get you something in place, and therefore it will be completely to your needs. You know, you might have to wake up a little bit earlier, or you might finish work a little bit earlier, so you can start implementing things like implementing the carbs in a little bit earlier, for example. So drop me a message if you've got any questions or if you'd like any help implementing things. But hope that was useful. I am actually going to step out, so if you want to take a screenshot right now, feel free to take a screenshot, and then you can zoom in and have a look as well. So yeah, that is everything. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time.